are the New York Knicks. I'm back. Rocking in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it's the New York Knicks podcast, part of the Lineups Podcast Network at lineups.com. Get ready, Mark. This is going to be going on for a while. Big Heads
Have
Media.
you made it longer?
I did. Big Heads Media Network at bigheadsmedia.com. We are part of Dash Radio. Go to the New York Knicks podcast.com/ticket club and type in code NYKP for $20 off an annual membership. I did not add anything else, Mark. This is episode 495. How you doing?
Holy shit, that was long.
It wasn't that good. It was 30 seconds. Come on.
It was almost as long as Kyrie Irving's injuries.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Too soon.
Too soon. He's played 20 games this year. He's done. Do you feel a little better about not getting Kyrie and Durant? Who
I didn't
barely
want
played this
Kyrie to
season?
begin with, but now I feel vindicated.
I mean, I guess they'll come back next season and Kyrie will play 20 games next year and Durant will play 20 games next year.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good stuff.
Do you think this trade will work out? I don't want to talk about the Knicks. I really don't. The Knicks suck. They're just so depressing. So let's just make fun of the Nets. The Nets are actually worse this year than they were last year before they signed Kyrie and Durant. Do you think they're going in the wrong direction?
They still have a couple of young players.
Yeah, and they will be getting back these players back next season. I predict that Kyrie plays 40 games next year and Durant only plays like 40 games next year.
I have more faith in Durant playing more games than Kyrie.
He's coming off a major injury.
I stand by my statement.
I think like every other game he's going to be like, I'm resting again.
Yeah, probably. And I still think he'll play more than Kyrie.
That could be true too.
So
is it like super? You're a Nets fan. You find out that you sign these guys. You're like, even when you sign the injured Durant, you're like as 10 out of 10, cloud 9. You're just as happy as possible. Now where are you? Are you still believing if you're a Net fan?
you have to.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, we believe, and we have almost nothing on our roster. So
Yeah, if you are giving up at this point, then you're basically just the Knicks.
yeah, I mean, if you're a Knicks fan, the best player on your team every season is the guy we're hoping to draft.
Right.
So anyway,
since last episode, it was the All-Star break, so there hasn't been many games.
I still go with the bet. Did you watch the All-Star game?
I watched everything except the All-Star game. I
Okay.
even watched.
That's probably the best part is watching everything but the All-Star game.
Yeah, I
All-Star
watched
game's
the
worst
celebrity
part.
game, the skills challenge, the rigged dunk contest, the 3-point contest.
Yeah. The rigged. Sorry.
The rigged dunk contest. It was
Okay.
completely rigged.
You think so? Why was it rigged, Jay?
I thought it was clearly rigged. I mean,
Well, you explain yourself, Jay. Defend yourself.
Dwayne Wade gave Patrick Connaughton a lower score than he should have, and he gave Jones a higher score than he should have, which put Jones into the finals. And so that right there was shenanigans. And I thought at the end that it looked like the refs all had an agreement to give Gordon a 48, and Dwayne gave him a 9 instead of a 10. You see all the other judges look over at Wade, and he just pulls out his earpiece and walks away. So I think the judges got together to have it be a tie so they could split the title, and Wade went for the guy from Miami.
Jay, do you know who won the dunk contest last year?
No.
Yeah, you know why? Because no one gives a shit.
I think Gordon gives a shit.
I don't know. Do you know what the greatest dunker of all time? You want to talk about conspiracies? The greatest dunker in the history of the dunk contest?
Dominique?
No, James White. Didn't we bring him in here? He was signed to the team. He was on the team for 1 year. All we kept hearing about was, well, this guy's going to dominate the dunk contest. And then he sucked in the dunk contest.
Did he even hit a dunk? I just remember him.
He was so bad.
I remember him doing the runway thing and then missing 5 in a row and then just going home.
They were just like, he's not good at basketball, but he can dunk really well, so he's going to represent the Knicks well at the dunk contest. Then he couldn't hit a dunk.
That was fun.
That was fun. I don't know, what year was that? That was a couple years ago, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know, 5.
Do you think the Knicks should go play in the XFL?
They might have better luck there.
Okay, let's talk about the Knicks. The Knicks, we are back. We were off for a week because...
Well, the NBA took off for a week, so...
Yeah, so we did too. Anyway, Knicks played the Pacers. They lost to the Pacers in a very close Knick comeback, and then they are currently losing to the Rockets. Any comments about the Pacer game? It was like the typical Knicks playing well, start the game off a little well, go down by a lot, make a fake comeback, lose the game. But Frank Ntilikina started and played 30 minutes, so the world is good.
All he needs is to play 30 minutes a game, and then everyone will see how good he is.
It's weird. He played 30 minutes, and the Knicks lost the game anyway.
Wait, he played a point guard, right?
Supposedly he was playing point guard.
How many assists did he have?
He got 2.
Huh.
That's 2. I mean, 2 every 30 minutes. If you, let's see, that is 8 assists per 120 minutes. It's good.
I saw a bunch of people on Twitter saying how is he supposed to get more assists with the squad he has. And I responded to every single person saying maybe he should ask Elfrid Payton.
Elfrid Payton does. Dennis Smith played 15 minutes, got 6 assists. Not that assists are everything, but if you're playing point guard, it matters. Ntilikina played well. He had a good game. There's nothing you could complain about. It's just my problem with Ntilikina more than anything is that you have this insane set of the Knicks fans who act like he's a god. And they're like, Ntilikina, as soon as he comes into his own in 13 to 15 years, you will not believe how good he'll be. And they drive you insane. It's like someone telling you, like, you have to see this movie. Movie's going to be goddamn amazing. And you go to the movie, and the movie's fine, and you would have liked the movie, except for the fact that, like, these people are driving you insane with how great it is. Because Ntilikina is a fine basketball player. I'm very happy with how he's been playing, but more so in the lines of, like, he's a solid 20-minute a night guy who will get better, but he's never going to be anything more than, like, a very solid bench player.
Yeah, and I'd say your assessment is even more positive than mine.
You think because he plays decent defense,
cool,
or good defense. He does the little things. He's a solid player.
Like what? What little thing?
I don't know. He probably sets the screen every once in a while. He knows where to be on defense. That's a huge amount. His defense is huge.
Yeah,
or pretty good. I don't know, huge. He sometimes hits shots. Sometimes.
I think he does literally nothing other than defend, and you can't do that.
I don't know. On offense, he gets out of other guys' ways.
He's good at hiding in the corner.
He doesn't hog the ball like that. He doesn't throw up some erratic shot like Kevin Knox or Dennis Smith. At least he knows he's going to miss most of the shots. He was 5 for 11 versus the Pacers. That was pretty darn good.
Amazing. I mean,
it's for him. It's like, holy crap! Let's have a parade on Broadway.
What year is this for him?
3.
He's only 21.
Jay, he was 7 when he joined the league. He's really young. He's only 10 years old right now.
Do you know who's on my fantasy team right now?
Not Ntilikina?
No, not Ntilikina.
Mo Harkless?
No, not Mo Harkless. So my team has Luguentz Dort.
I'm sorry?
He is a rookie who is starting on the Thunder. I know it's weird that he's a rookie and he's starting on a playoff team.
I'm guessing he wasn't a first-round draft pick either?
I think he was like very late first round.
Oh, okay. He's playing pretty well?
Yeah, he's his last game he had shot 6 for 6. He had 3 steals. I mean, it's pretty good. He was undrafted.
Okay. Okay, undrafted. Well, that means the Knicks didn't have a chance to draft him because the Knicks don't undraft.
I also have Juan Toscano Anderson, who is on the Golden State Warriors. Last game, he had 16 and 8, 3 assists, 3 threes, 2
So you say
blocks, and a steal.
The Knicks should scout guys on your fantasy team?
He was undrafted.
Okay.
And I have Jordan McLaughlin, who went for, let's see, 15, 4, and 10 assists last game.
Assists are hard. Look, you'll get them eventually.
Undrafted. So I have 3 undrafted guys on my team. First year. Didn't need 3 to 4 years to develop. Weird.
Weird. Well, they probably. I mean, if Ntilikina's gonna get a lot better, they're gonna get even better. They'll probably all play like LeBron very soon.
Yeah. Because I mean, if they're like this in year one.
So I have to say, if you talk about things that like make me angry and frustrated about the Knicks, one of my big pet peeves is the Knicks don't do this with the undrafted player. They don't sign any 10-day contracts. They don't try anyone else out. They sign veterans and go, these are the guys that are going to lead us to wherever we have to play them.
Right. All 3 of those guys are undrafted, and 2 of them are starting on their respective teams. I don't get, and you have more. You have.
There are plenty. Miami's starting 2 undrafted players.
Yeah, Devontae Graham. I think he was drafted, but he was, you know what I mean. Like,
yeah. I mean, I told you my theory also that like you have a better chance of discovering. If you're going to discover diamonds in the rough, they're usually going to be guys who are undrafted or second round guys. I mean, not that it's a high percentage, but versus guys who are like first round picks that had every opportunity in there, like a top 10 pick on another team. He had probably every opportunity to like play, and he didn't work out. You probably taking chances on those guys it's probably not a great idea to take chances on those guys.
Well, that's not even my point. My point is that most players, if they're going to do something, they're going to do something
in the first couple of years.
In the first couple of years, they're not. Most players don't take 4 years to develop.
Even the guys that take a while to develop, because there are guys that take a while to develop.
There are, but there's not many.
There are plenty of guys who were like average like 3 or 4 points a game, and then like they steadily climbed and got a lot better. But in their first year, they showed real signs. Like they would have every once in a while, they'd have a big game.
You also used the word steadily climbed.
Yeah. Well,
we're on year 3, and the numbers have been the same all 3 years. So
the Knicks level of like just the insanity of we have like Reggie Bullock, Mike Miller was asked, the young guy's going to play, trade deadline's over, and he said, I'm trying to find it. He said basically, I'm going to keep playing the vets, which really what he meant was, he said, I talked to Scott Perry a lot. We think this is a better way to develop the rookies, or the young players, by having them play less, I guess, or not play. Because the development happens in many different ways, and this is how we think it works out because we're in New York. But basically what him and Perry are really saying is, we're going to be fired very soon. The only thing we're going to be judged on is number of wins, at least in our opinion. So we're just going for wins. And we think we have no chance of wins if we play young guys.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Yeah, but they're pretty bad. They're losing games no matter what they do with these like Taj Gibson, fine player. Reggie Bullock's a fine player. Bobby Portis is fine. But these guys can go look for jobs elsewhere. You need to find undrafted players, 10-day contracts. Let Iggy play just let some young players play so you can find these guys who are actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they should really be playing Iggy, Wooten, Kadeem Allen. There's a guy in the Lakers right now that's doing really good. The Lakers G League team. I forget his name, but
I mean, as we said, the last guy they found was Jeremy Lamb, who wasn't really given a chance by other teams. They were forced through injury because of injury to give him a chance, and they're suddenly like New York went ablaze with Linsanity.
Lynn, yeah, you said Lamb.
Oh, sorry, I meant Lynn.
Lamb's the guy who got 3 different types of knee injury yesterday, who was on my fantasy team, which is part of the reason I have all these undrafted rookies now.
And Jeremy Lamb also was part of the Harden trade.
Yes. Yeah, he has a torn left ACL, a torn lateral meniscus, and a lateral femoral condylar fracture.
Did he fall off an airplane?
He went over a dunk and he landed on his knee weird. And soon as I saw the play, I dropped him. I'm like, okay, he's not coming back.
So anyway, as far as So we were going to do the grades today, right?
Yeah. So today on today's show,
on today's episode,
it's half over already.
yeah. So let's start with let's grade before we even get to the players. Let's grade Dolan, the GM, team management, and then the coach.
Okay.
Okay. James Dolan, he has, to make a case for him, he has interfered very little in this team.
Mhm.
His only interference really was, I think, kicking a fan out for no good reason.
Multiple
Having
times.
fans. What do you say?
Multiple times.
Multiple times. So some shenanigans in the background, and he also fired Mills, which was very much deserved. A strange time, but still fired him. What grade do you give Dolan?
F.
Why so high?
One, just making the team a spectacle by kicking out fans on a regular basis is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Firing Mills is good, but Mills lasted way longer than he should have, and he fired him right before the trade deadline, which was ridiculous. And
Go on, Jay.
I'm not sure about hiring a player agent to replace him either, because the newest rumor is that it looks like the Knicks are 90% going to take Thibs as their new coach.
Okay, we'll comment that on a second. First of all, if you're gonna grade Dolan, you don't even talk about his music, Jay. You're just a jackass.
Well, then I'd give an A.
Okay. I would say the hiring of Leon Rose, and obviously we have no idea how that's going to work out. What scares me about Leon Rose, the more I've thought about it, is that the idea that he's going to want to swing big and like go after free agents, that's going to be the real way he's going to try to build this team.
I feel like it's going to be all about big names.
Which only reason that could work out, and I think I said this on last show, the only reason this could work out, do you think it could work out, that's the strategy?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't for the last 20 years, but sure.
Well, if he decides to keep all the Knicks draft picks, the Knicks will have a lot of top 5 draft picks based on this strategy. So eventually, something's going to work out with the top 5 picks.
Yeah, that's not swinging for a big name.
Well, no, I'm saying they're going to swing for this big name, miss every time, make stupid ass signings, and have terrible team for a decade, and that will mean a lot of top 5 picks.
Oh, yeah. And
the unintended consequence of their big name strategy.
Yeah, I guess you can't keep missing out on top 10 picks. Like, law of averages, one of them is going to work out at some point.
At some point, the Knicks will just like happen to draft someone who's good. At some point, it works out. Okay. Steve Mills, what grade do you give him?
Steve Mills, I would have to give a
He helped construct this roster.
Triple F minus.
So lower than Dolan. Okay, yes. And Scott Perry. Everyone seems to think a little better of Scott Perry. What do you think of Scott Perry?
Scott Perry, I will give a C.
Okay, I'm going to give him an F also. Terrible roster construction. And he seems to, currently, according to our current coach, thinks playing the young guys is not an important thing to do. So he thinks there's some purpose in losing games with veterans. I
bumped him up 2 letter scores because he didn't completely botch the trade deadline. Which Fizdale. I was completely expecting him to do.
Yes. Okay, you're right. D minus. Fizdale. F?
Yeah, Fizdale was terrible.
Okay. And our current coach, Miller. What do you think?
I will give him a C plus.
B. He's got a crap roster. He's winning a lot more games than Fizdale did. You might get angry at him. I just got angry at him for not playing the young guys. But if you know you're going to be out of a job soon, this is what you do. So yeah. I can't blame him for a lack of direction in the organization.
That's a good point.
I can't blame him for looking at Knox and going, "Yeah, I don't want to play this guy 30 minutes a game."
Right. You're right. A coach is hired to win games, and he's doing that. So yeah.
He may have no job next year, so can't blame him.
I'm gonna withdraw my C plus and go with a B.
Yeah, maybe the highest grade on the team. Okay, let's start it with Julius Randle, our prize free agent from the summer. What grade do you give him? He can score some points. His defense is atrocious, but his offense, he's probably the best offensive player on the team right now.
I'm gonna give him a C plus, and it would be way higher if he'd stopped doing that spinny turnover move.
His windmill turnover.
Yeah, his spin into a double team and then to hand the ball over.
he is a very talented player, and sometimes he does look pretty good. I don't want to kill him because he doesn't really have. The point guard play is kind of everything around him is pretty bad. Like used correctly, I feel like he could be a good asset. I'm going to give him a B minus.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going too high. I don't think it's unrealistic.
No, I think it's fair. I mean, he's had stretches where he's looked very good. It's just that spin move just pisses me off, especially since he's on my fantasy team and I lose turnovers every week.
Marcus Morris, who's not here right now, but played pretty well for us. We should definitely give Marcus Morris a grade. What do you give him?
I would say an A minus.
Okay, I was going to say A, but A minus is good. He wasn't amazing for us, but he served his purpose. He got the first round pick. Perfect.
Yeah, and he played well. There was a little bit too much ISO hero ball, which is why I bumped him down slightly. But yeah, he had more big games than anybody else on the roster.
Absolutely. Shot awesome from 3-point land.
Yeah.
He did a lot for the team. He wasn't an amazing defender, but if you basically want an assassin to basically sign this guy, he'll get you a first round pick. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah.
Right there. Taj Gibson.
I give him a B plus.
Okay.
I mean,
B plus.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be completely washed up, and he's been decent.
Okay, that's fair. I give him a B.
I'm basing it on expectations. I can't really. Obviously, he's not like.
I'm basing it also on your expectations, Jeff.
I mean, you can't say like, oh, he averages 6 and 4.
No,
so
of course, yes, yeah. I understand. Like, you have to give it based on what you expect of the player, or like what like
what
an
his
A
role
from
is, or yeah.
Yeah, obviously everyone's graded on a bit of a curve based on who they are.
Yeah.
R.J. Barrett, who at times has looked well, at times he's not looked that great. I mean, his defense has been fine. His offense is very up and down.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. C-.
By the way, he's the only hope we have in this franchise. Go on, Jay.
C minus.
C minus?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, his shot's been off. He's been in and out of the lineup with injuries. He
hasn't had that many injuries. He had a little stretch where he was out, but generally he's been pretty healthy. He does generally he always plays defense. He always passes the ball. Like he's a good passer. He's one of the guys that does everything on the court. He's more of a complete player than anyone else on the team.
I guess. I mean, he doesn't get defensive stats, steals or blocks.
Steals and blocks aren't the only thing on defense. He does generally play defense.
Yeah. I don't know. He's shooting really, really bad.
8 for 15 tonight. But not that it matters.
Well, based on that 3/4 of one game sample, he's shooting okay.
His shooting needs to be better.
I mean, obviously. He's shooting under 40%. And
yeah, I mean, guys do shoot under 40% and get better. He's a guy that I feel like will actually get better. I mean, who the hell knows? No one gets better on this team. But
I'm more worried that he's shooting 60% from the free throw line. He's barely cracking 30% from the 3-point line.
His free throw shooting percentage has gotten better over time. I'm going to give him a solid B minus.
Okay.
Okay. Elfrid Payton.
I'm going to go with a B.
Yeah, I'd say that's a solid grade. I mean, he's doing exactly what he's a backup point guard, being our starter. He gets assists. He really runs the offense better than anyone else on the team, any of the other point guards. Not an amazing shooter, but he does enough. His defense is not great, but like if you had a good team, you'd be very fine having him as your backup point guard.
Absolutely. He can play like a Dennis Schroeder role.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you had a starting point guard, you'd be like, it's great having Peyton as our backup.
Yeah.
And he also, in fairness, like if you like growth for players like Dennis Smith and Ntilikina, I think they can learn something from watching him run the offense.
Yeah, he's a guy who knows how to get players the ball in the right spot.
Right. I mean, everyone keeps saying like, "Oh, Ntilikina is so unselfish." Yeah, like he's just because he doesn't want the ball doesn't mean he's unselfish.
Right.
Yeah. Frank Ntilikina.
Frank, I'm gonna give a C.
Yeah.
I mean,
That-
he's
He's out.
not-
He's out again tonight. By the way,
I know.
As far as injury prone, he's injury prone.
His groin. I don't know what's going on. It's always his groin.
Yeah,
but-
it's literally always groin. JJ, you have to stop playing with his groin before games.
So I mean, his defense is good. His shot isn't. He doesn't.
No, yeah, shots. It's three. Like it's. By the way, Barrett, if he was shooting the same way in 3 years, I'd be a little bit more troubled. But I don't know why Nilkey fans are not troubled. The fact that Nilkey still can't shoot.
I mean, all three of the Knicks' top 10 picks are shooting under 40%. It's ridiculous.
A lot of fans are all saying we should get LaMelo Ball, which he's supposed to be a great playmaker. His shot is pretty poor, but he has good form. I don't know. I'd be kind of happy if we miss out on LaMelo Ball.
Let's have a starting five of guys who can't shoot in today's three-point heavy NBA.
But I'm just going to make a side note. I wanted to mention Thibs. And we can talk about him again later, but I don't think he'd be a bad choice for the coach. I think we just need an experienced coach. And I think also you look back at what he did in Chicago and Minnesota, coaches also learn and get better over time.
Some
do. I mean, I don't want a first-year coach again. You need a guy who has experience to help like get fundamentals going here. Like Thibs has got a pretty good track record overall. And no one in God's green earth could get what's his name to play defense on Minnesota.
Towns, Wiggins,
either. They're both just like defensively inept players.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. No, I'm just worried about
the minutes. They're young players. They can play minutes.
I'm not worried about the minutes. I'm worried about has he adapted to the way the NBA is now, or is he going to be like everyone shoot mid-range shots and
yeah, he wasn't like the offensive guru. He was more of a defensive coach.
Yeah.
I don't know. He also you look at the teams he had. Chicago was like the Derrick Rose team. So like you build your offense around Derrick Rose, who was not a 3-point shooter, but it was very dynamic on offense. And you had Noah, who was a great passer. They had. I can't say that like you look at that and go, well, then he doesn't know how to today's game.
I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying that would be one of my concerns.
I mean, he also watches basketball. I'm sure. I assume he understands the differences.
Well,
it's like people are like Jeff Van Gundy. He's too old. He hasn't been around the game in forever. He's commenting on every game. He watches a million games. He's not an idiot.
I mean, Fizdale watched a lot of basketball and was around a lot of basketball.
Yeah, I mean, coaching the Knicks is a hard thing.
It is.
Dennis Smith.
F.
I'm going to go above an F because he's looked a little better lately, like a D. Like he looked terrible for a while, probably partly due to injury.
Mm-hmm.
But he's looking a little more competent lately. You don't agree?
D+.
By the way, again, just Dennis Smith currently has 7 steals tonight.
D.
If Ntilikina had 7 steals, how insane would fans be going?
Oh, forget it.
If he put up this number, Dennis Smith currently is 4 for 10 tonight with 13 points. He has 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 7 steals. Would the hard-on Frank fans have ever go away?
No, they would all be in the ER for 4 hours or more.
Frank fans were lighting things up on Twitter about his night against Indiana, like how unbelievably played. Dennis Smith probably arguably statistically has had a better night.
Yeah.
And they'll still be like, Smith's garbage. Let's get rid of him. Frank, on the other hand, oh my God, did you see his defense? Reggie Bullock.
B+.
Yeah.
I expected almost nothing out of him, and he's been pretty decent.
I don't think he's been looked as great lately.
Yeah, no. Last couple weeks not as good, but the first month he was back, he was looking really good.
He's a B-.
Okay.
You don't expect much. He's a B- player. He's fine. Wayne Ellington.
D.
Not getting a lot of playing time, but D. I agree. Bobby Portis.
C. I feel like he'll have a couple games where I'm like, wow, this guy looks really good. And then he'll have like a complete trash week. And it's been like that all season.
Well, here's a question for you. Will Kevin Knox ever be as good as Bobby Portis?
No.
You don't want to think about that?
Nope.
Because I watch Portis and I'm like, he's not that great, but he's going to shoot the threes. He's okay. And then I'm like, Wait, is Knox ever going to be better than this guy?
I am so out on Knox. It's not even funny.
Let's do Knox.
D-.
Why so high? His defense has gotten better lately. He's gotten some blocks. He's looked a little better lately. By the way, Knox has played 5 minutes tonight.
That's about what he deserves.
The Knicks are getting their ass kicked by Houston.
Give or take
Why not
5
just
minutes.
play him more? Why not just play him enough to go next season? We can just say we know what he is.
I mean, there should be a 2 or 3 week span where Miller should do that, and then he should just force whoever the president GM is at the time to watch every second of those games.
He's just, the whole time he's just tweeting like, "Yeah, you like Knox now? Play him 48 minutes tonight. Watch this horror show." I almost forgot our actual prize player, our other besides Barrett, Mitchell Robinson. What do you think of Robinson?
A B.
Yeah,
He still has foul troubles. He still has not really developed an offensive game other than alley-oops.
Would you? So he's one player I'm going to blame the team more than him. I think he could be developing more, but to a certain extent, like he's not always in foul trouble anymore. And unless he fouls out, he should keep playing. The Knicks are barely playing him. He's not even getting 20 minutes a game most of the nights lately. He should be playing 30 minutes a game. It's
we've said that before. It doesn't make a difference if a guy has 5 or 6 fouls. Like,
just let him foul out.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
like if he has 5 fouls, don't foul him out. You're like, don't be like, okay, he's out of the game. Like, that's idiotic. You don't understand how many fouls he gets.
The only reason you pull a guy with 5 fouls and don't want him to foul out is if it's like a top 10 player in the league, and having them foul out is going to disrupt the whole game. When you're talking about a guy like Mitch, let him foul out.
Yeah, he has. By the way, he has 3 fouls tonight. He's only playing 16 minutes, and they're getting their asses handed to them by Houston. Why not just let him play 30 minutes? And you're like, well, Houston maybe is a bad matchup, whatever. But if you look at his minutes totals, it's 20 minutes at max every night. Like, let him play, let him develop. And his offensive game, part of it, like you could be helpful to have a point guard to get him the ball. But like he's been getting a little better around the basket. It's not just alley-oops. If you get him the ball, he can put it in. He needs to get better on offense. But I feel like his development has been held back a little bit by the Knicks not focusing on it.
Yeah, it seems like all his points are either alley-oops or putbacks because he's not part of the offense.
There's no plan.
Yeah.
The Knicks are not going like, I have a plan to develop him. The Knicks are just kind of like, if he develops, it's great.
Right.
It seems like he should be more of a focus because he's actually looked good at times. And it's not like Taj looks amazing or Bobby Portis looks amazing, but we have to find minutes for guys.
Well, I think the whole point is that Taj is let's just take the stance of Taj is playing better than Robinson. Okay.
I disagree, but go on.
Yeah. I'm just, for argument's sake, I don't agree either, but just go with me here. Who cares?
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
He's in his 30s. He's probably not going to be on the team next year. If he is, it's only one more season anyway. So what's the point? What are you doing? Like, it's so short-sighted to run the team like this because it's a placeholder team. They're so far away from a championship. It's not even funny. And you have to think of the future, not like, hey, let's play this 30-year-old in the 4th worst record in the NBA. There's no way they're making the playoffs. They'd have to leapfrog like 6 teams. And so what's the point?
It's also like the Knicks are like, well, we're not going to tank. And you're like, you're doing that anyway. No matter what lineup you're putting out there, you're tanking. So just put a lineup that actually helps the team development in the future.
Yeah, I agree. It's you when you have a 4th, 5th worst record in the entire NBA, it doesn't matter if you're trying to lose or not. You're losing. So not playing these vets is not going to make a difference because you're already bottom 5. What are you going to be? Bottom 4? Bottom 3? Who cares?
I mean, the Knicks are such a frustrating team. It's unbelievable.
I mean, worst case scenario, you find out all these young guys are trash and you could move on.
It's really also going back to the point of like not signing G Leaguers. And it's also like, if you want to sign a G Leaguer to a 10-day contract and try him out, it doesn't have to be Iggy. I mean, it could be Iggy. Or I don't guess you don't have to sign him to a 10-day contract, but like it doesn't have to be a guy from the Westchester. There are like how many franchises are there in the G League?
26, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of players. Only guys that are on like these 10-day on these two-way contracts are the ones that you can't like sign. Everyone else is a free agent. Find other players.
Well, there's also they signed Wooten to a 10-day contract, a two-way contract.
No, a two-way contract.
Yeah, two-way contract. But then they're like, yeah, we're not even going to see if he's any good. We're just not going to play him. We don't want anybody else to play him.
I forget even who the guy was they had on a two-way contract. They didn't play him. Then they replaced him with Wooten, who they're not going to play. And next season they were like, should we have Wooten on the roster? Who the hell knows? We haven't played him yet.
I don't know. They're acting like Nintendo. They're like, we're going to keep the rights to this, but we're not going to release it and let anybody else enjoy it.
The Knicks are looking at it like our current franchise, our current set of players are good enough. We like this team. It's a perfect team. Everyone else is trying to improve. Our team is perfect.
We're all in on this 13th place team.
You want a team president or GM or whatever the hell. You want a guy that never thinks everything is good enough. You want a guy that's always trying to improve the team, always going, how can we make things better? How can we make things better? You don't want these guys who are like Perry or Mills, who are like, I'm going to go to the game, watch the game, get seen in the camera, and like act like I'm really doing something by just watching a basketball game.
I mean, look at the Raptors. They made the semifinals, 3 years in a row, and they said, we're not good enough for championship. We're going to trade one of our best players for a 1-year rental on Kawhi because we're not good enough to win right now.
Right, and look at the players they have. They have guys that were like undrafted free agents or guys that were like late picks who they basically really developed because they gave them playing time.
Right. Well, I'm
Nick
just
there
saying they were in a good spot, but they still said we're not good enough. Whereas if the Knicks, I feel like if the Knicks made the second round of the playoffs, they'd be like, well, my job's done here.
Why does the team's GM and team president need to go to the games? Not that they shouldn't be watching. They could watch the games on television or video, but we don't need them at the games just sitting there like eating popcorn, getting fatter while they're watching the team play. Is there any benefit to having them sitting there like third row and watching? I understand that you want to watch your team, but it's almost better off if they were at like a Westchester game, like watching that game instead.
I don't know. Maybe they're looking for things like chemistry issues or
right, but they could also watch the game on TV. Like it doesn't, they don't have to be at every goddamn game.
When you're that close, you hear things that you don't hear on TV.
I guess I agree. I do agree with you to a certain extent. I'm just saying, like, all you ever see them doing is like not working, just watching games. It's like they're a fan that won, like, oh, I got season tickets.
Well, that was Mills, definitely.
Oh my god, it's so frustrating.
I mean,
anyway,
probably Perry too. But...
I just feel like they need to be. You need guys who are obsessed with working harder, not the guys that we currently have.
That is true. I don't see I didn't see like Hinkie sitting at the games. I saw Hinkie like making trades.
Yeah, it's like for the deadline, they were like it seemed like they started trying to trade Morris like 2 days before the trade deadline.
Yeah.
You should be on the phones. You should have called the 29 other GMs in the league. When you traded Porzingis, you should have had extensive conversations with 29 other GMs.
Yeah. I mean, there should be spreadsheets of targets and who we can get and who's available. And
okay, so Damian Dotson. B?
Yeah, he's been fine when he played. He just doesn't get enough minutes, which I don't know why.
I don't know. And then we're going to say Trier. Could Trier be an incomplete? I really don't think you can give Trier a grade.
Yeah, he's hardly played at all.
Yeah, I mean, we signed it. We signed our first undrafted player. He shows some promise in his first year. Does not leave the bench in the second season.
I mean, Dotson started 41 games last season, and he's played
anymore.
He's played 41 minutes this season.
And Mo Harkless incomplete, obviously.
Yeah.
And I can't give anyone else a grade. Kadeem Allen
right.
No one else gets a grade. This team is frustrating.
So we gave no A's, right?
You have to really ask if we gave no A's.
Oh no, we gave Morris an A.
Yeah, I gave it Morris an A.
So the only guy we gave an A is not on the team.
The fans. A plus, Jay. Any fan who still gives a shit about this team gets an A plus. This team is exhausting. How do you even watch the games? And the fans are obsessed. best fans in all best fans in all the NBA by far.
Yeah.
You're rooting for a pile of shit every week. Every game, you're like, this pile of shit that's going nowhere. I'm so excited about it.
It is amazing.
We're doing a podcast about it. There's 17 different Knicks podcasts out there. Like, it's insane how dedicated the fan base is to a team that could not be more inept.
We've done almost 500 episodes.
Don't make me kill myself, Jay, by saying that number out loud.
Oh my God, that's probably about 700 hours.
Do you want to give the seconds total also, Jay? Anyway, Thibs. You think Thibs is a bad idea?
I do.
Well, I mean, in the sense of like, I can tell you the coach has had a lot of experience, both as the assistant coach and he was assistant coach in New York, and as a head coach in two different places. He has a winning record. Had a lot of success in Chicago. Obviously, not as much in Minnesota, but he had a tough situation there.
I feel like he did not do a good job in Minnesota, and in Chicago he had an MVP.
Yeah, I mean, you're only as good as your players, but I want a coach with experience. It's my number one thing here. I mean, you can keep Miller, I guess. Just bring in a coach that has experience.
The only thing,
not name Mark Jackson.
That's what I was going to say. The best thing about getting Thibs means we're not getting Mark Jackson.
I do think coaches. There are plenty of coaches that were bad, like the ultimate classic example from the NFL, not the NBA, but like Belichick sucked in Cleveland and was obviously one of the greatest coaches ever when he got to New England.
Then he learned how to cheat. Just kidding.
I wish the Knicks could figure out how to cheat. If they could figure out like a Houston Astros style of cheating, that'd be amazing. Anything for the Knicks.
They need to go to LeBron's doctor in Miami.
That sounds good. Anything the Knicks could do, I don't care. Deflate the ball, inflate the ball, like put sarin gas in the visiting team's locker room, just something to get a fucking win.
They need to go to LeBron's doctor in Miami and then immediately go to Kobe's doctor in Germany.
Jay, you can't speak ill of Kobe. He was perfect.
After he went to Germany, he was.
He's perfect. Shut the hell up about Kobe. Jeff writes, Facebook question. Jeff writes, if Thibs becomes the next coach, do you think he can finally get Randall the hustle back on defense? I'm tired of seeing him dog-ass on the court. He's not a good at rotating to be a help defender, and he's horrible about hustling back to stop at the fast break. He walks everywhere on the court except for when he knows he's about to get the ball.
How do you really feel about Randall, though?
He's right. Everything he's saying is completely right.
I know.
And also, that's another reason to get Thibs, is Thibs gave a crap about defense and actually knew how to coach defense, which is more than I could say about most of the Knicks coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Jan writes, what do you think the Knicks' approach to free agency should be this offseason? Are you in favor of the team taking on salary and trades for picks? It should be signing more one-year deals or team options.
Collect assets. Sign bad contracts with picks attached. I'm fine with that.
So one thing I'd like to add to that. So I generally like that idea, but if you look at Indiana's roster, they have two players. They got Malcolm Brogdon, who's a very good signing. He's not amazing, but he's a very solid point guard. And they got TJ Warren for almost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, those guys were basically available. The Knicks could have gotten them, and their roster would be so much better this season if they got those players.
Yeah, agreed.
So I'm just saying, I'm not against the Knicks saying like, take their salary cap, take the salary, and find like a Brogdon, like a very solid player, maybe like a Van Fleet, and just throw money at him. And like, don't say this guy's a savior, but like, it'll make the roster a lot better to build around. And trying to find a TJ Warren, a guy who's maybe like not being appreciated where he is, and a dysfunctional like Phoenix type team.
I agree with your theory of the Knicks acquiring good players.
Okay, I'm just saying, yes. So my free agency goal here is not the shit they've been acquiring, but like have a plan, find some actual targets, go for those guys. If you can't get them, then take on salary.
Sure. I mean, the Knicks need 12 good players now?
Could you imagine though if you added Brogdon and obviously there are other players you could have gotten, but Brogdon and Warren to this team, how much better this team would be? Point guard would be solved. At least if you had Brogdon, you'd be like, okay, we're fine with point guard. We don't need to draft a guy. You had Brogdon, you had RJ Barrett next to him. Barrett would look a lot better with a functional point guard.
Mhm.
T.J. Warren, who's actually an efficient scorer, which is God forbid you have one of those in New York.
Warren's on my fantasy team, and I could not be happier with that.
He actually he's just an absolute I don't understand how Phoenix just kind of gave up on him. They traded him for almost nothing.
I mean, a few teams have done that with Warren.
I thought he was just on Phoenix.
I don't think so. I think Warren's been on a couple teams. Let me check that real quick.
I mean, you could be right. I don't know anything about basketball. He's on Phoenix the whole time. And he's a guy who also he got better as far as more points per game throughout his career, but he always was an efficient scorer.
Yeah.
And he's killing it this year. He's averaging 18 points a game. He shoots 52% from the field, 36% from 3-point land, 56% effective field goal percentage. Those numbers, we if you just added the effective field goal percentage of two of our players, it would add up to that.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, so I think probably the more logical thing is to go for assets. But if you could have some targets like these players, just look around the league and see if you can find targets like this. If you're a GM and a team president and you're actually working to try to make this team better, it would help and try to find these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Paul writes, want to see the Knicks grab Tyler Johnson just for fun? We're not doing going in any direction as far as I can tell. Tyler Johnson, Jay?
Sure. I mean, try anybody.
We could try Tyler Perry out right now. Yeah, he's not. Sure, why not? He's 27. One more Facebook. We have a couple emails, right?
2.
Kenny writes, thoughts on Kyrie. Jay, you want to just start laughing?
I mean, he might be at the tail end of his career.
He might be on the tail end of sanity also. And EC Pierre writes, Knicks next coach? Question mark. I just want someone with experience.
I mean, it looks like it's going to be Thibs. So let's start mentally preparing for that.
I mean, wouldn't you say going with someone without experience would be a worse choice than Thibs? No matter who it is, someone without experience, a first-year coach, is that the kind of guy you want on a team like dysfunctional like this team?
I mean, it depends. If you're talking about a long tenured assistant coach, I'm not opposed to that.
I just think it's a fair point. But I think even if you've had Brad Stevens come here in his first year, it's a really tough job to do when the team is so dysfunctional. Having someone who really understands how to coach from day one is very helpful for a team that's so.
Yeah, but I mean, Nick Nurse is the best coach in the league right now.
Well, yeah. If a first-year coach is fine if you have a functional team. Toronto has an amazing team.
Mm-hmm.
You came in, you're here, Nick Nurse. Here's an insane amount of talent. It's fine if you have a really good team. I'm just saying, a first-year coach could be really good depending on the situation. Fizdale, if you gave Fizdale 12 LeBron James, he'd be a fine coach.
I'm just saying, it seems like everybody on Toronto got better this year. It's almost like their players developed.
I'll hire Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is my choice for the Knicks coach next year.
It's weird. It's almost like their players are developing.
Yeah, well, we don't do that. So you need someone. I just want someone who's organized, knows what it means to be coaching on day one, because you really need someone who's got you need someone firing on all cylinders from day one, not a guy who's going to try to figure shit out as he goes along.
Honest question: if the Knicks got Siakam and Van Fleet 3 years ago, are they out of the league by now? Do the Knicks just ruin them and they're just?
The Knicks would ruin anyone. Steph Curry, if he was a Knick, the Knicks would have ruined him. We're just a cancer. We're rooting for cancer for this team.
If there's a multiverse, I'm gonna go and see one where Knox and Ntilikina are MVPs because the Knicks just ruined them.
So I would take the position that there are 30 teams in the NBA. If 29 of the other teams drafted Ntilikina and Knox, they'd still be pretty bad players. Ntilikina would be a more useful player, but Knox would still be garbage.
I mean, I agree. I think it.
But
the idea of the Knicks just destroying a good player, and we wouldn't even have known it.
It's just so.
Jordan Hill was the next Kawhi, but we just ruined him.
It's so exhausting being a Knicks fan. Yeah, I don't know what other teams do either to develop players. I just no idea.
Seems like
It's
they all figured it out, though.
like I understand the idea of like the thought process here of like the young players shouldn't just play because they should earn their minutes.
Mhm.
And if young players just play, they develop bad habits, which is something that if you're Scott Perry, you watched Knox last year and you're like, maybe all his bad habits are going to be let him play. Like, I mean, Knox is just like a terrible example of letting a guy play and hoping he'll get better.
So you're suggesting the next strategy is to just draft guys and not play them?
I don't know what the strategy. I'm just saying I can understand them trying to go a different way, but the thing is, you need a strategy and just stick with a strategy. Last year they were like, let him play. This year they're like, well, let's change everything. And the next year they'll be like, let's change everything again.
Yeah, I mean,
I
well, 2 years from now we'll be talking about who the new GM is and the third coach since he took over. And
right. How could you be mad about Thibs being hired? He's only going to be here for a year and a half.
Right, that's true. He'll be getting paid for 5, but he'll only be coaching for a year and a half.
Right, exactly.
Have we had a coach for more than 2 straight years since we started this show 11 years ago?
2 straight what? Winning years?
No. A coach for more than 2 straight years since we started. I guess Woodson, right? He was there for 3.
There is some rumor that the Knicks might bring back Woodson. What do you think of that?
I don't even care anymore.
He was ahead of his time with the the switching on everything.
Yeah.
Not that everyone should switch on everything, but like the Golden State Warriors switched on everything. Like they would like get players who can like play they can play every other positions and like or guard other positions. That is.
Well, and look at Philly. The East is big, man.
And Woodson also, in theory, like if you want a guy who's had a long tenure as an assistant coach now, he's been in LA for a long time now.
I'd still take Becky Hammond.
Yeah, I'm coming around to that. It can't get any more of a shit show. It's just the problem is going to be they start off the first day, everyone will be like, "Oh, this is great. We have a woman coach, and she's like a really, really like, great basketball mind. Everything's going well." Then they'll lose like 3 games in a row because they're look 30 games in a row because they're shit. People will go in Twitter. Well, Twitter would just be as horrendous as it always is, but like it'll just get more of a shit show. And then they'll be like, the NBA will be like, we can never have a woman coach again because we see what happened here.
So the Knicks just ruined female coaches forever.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Everything.
No matter what the Knicks do or what they have, they just ruin it.
I don't know. Yeah. And somehow the Knicks will get Me Too'd also. Somehow, like, the Knicks will somehow, like, Becky will be like, I don't like my job because James Dolan asked that I have to have sex with him. And, like, that somehow that'll happen. At a game, he'll do it on, like, a microphone.
I hope so. Then maybe they can actually have an excuse to force him out.
That's true. I like that part.
Knicks fans keep saying sell the team at games. Maybe the Knicks strategy should just be to not allow fans at games.
That would be fine. Yeah, maybe Beckham would work. I mean, she's obviously supposed to be a good basketball mind. I have no freaking clue what the Knicks. All I know is what the Knicks should do is sell the team. That's the only thing I know is for sure. And beyond that, find a competent GM who could really run this team. And
maybe add 7 to 9 good players.
Yeah, I don't think adding everything starts at the top and works its way down, I guess. The Leon Rose thing, just like a big name player agent just doesn't, I don't know how much this makes sense.
I don't think it does. I think that agency has had their claws into Dolan for a while, and they just finally made their move and took over.
I mean, obviously it's a very, very successful agency. And Rose is obviously a very, very bright, he's probably a very, very bright man. He's probably very charismatic. But I just think the skills that go into being a great agent aren't necessarily the skills that go into being a great team president.
Agreed.
Do we have email? We have a couple emails, Jay.
Yeah, we have 2 emails. So the first one is from Jorge. Hey, guys. Were there some reports about the Knicks going to trade Frank, Bobby, Alonzo, and multiple picks for D'Angelo, but Mills got fired? Would you guys have quit the show if we gave up a bunch of picks for D'Angelo?
I think that would have been pretty close.
Yeah, that would have come close to pushing me over the edge. I mean, we've talked about it before. His salary is so high. And
it's just trading assets for a guy that's like, he's a fine player, but like... I would have been fine if you just traded like Portis and Knox and like
All those players
Ntilikina
mentioned.
for him. Yeah.
That's fine. But yeah, the draft picks would have really have gotten because that draft pick would have been an all-star.
It's just like there's so little in this team to like ruin our chances to get good players.
Unless it's a sure thing, you should never trade draft picks. I mean, we all agree that the Brooklyn Celtics trade was ridiculous, but
James Harden, and I forget how many draft picks were involved in that, but like if you have a James Harden type player and you can go all out to get him, that would make sense.
maybe not Harden, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm just saying it doesn't have to be James Harden. I know you hate James Harden. Totally fine too. You would agree though if the Knicks were in position to get James Harden a number of years ago, if you can go back in time and tell them to trade everything they could to get him, you would. Like he would have been worth clearing everything out. A couple draft picks, just everything we traded for Melo for Harden would have been worthwhile.
Or just Kevin Martin.
Or just trading for Kevin Martin.
No, that's what the.
Yeah. Yes, fine, whatever. There are a bunch of. I'm just saying, like, if you have a chance to get, like, if you thought D'Angelo Russell was like this amazing, like,
no, I know what you mean.
Game changer.
Yeah, if D'Angelo Russell's name was like Kawhi Leonard, then yes.
Yeah, I'm not like crazy. There's sometimes you do have to do that, but this is not the situation. Like Harden, you could really build a team around. He's a very young player and just the right situation, basically.
Yeah, I'm just saying those draft picks are dangerous, man. The Nets could have had Tatum and Jaylen Brown right now.
I mean, the Knicks have a decade of like draft picks they traded away for like what they could have had. Like what the Knicks could have had is like a joke. Like couldn't have had LaMarcus Aldridge and they could have drafted Joakim Noah.
Yeah, Noah and Aldridge back-to-back years. Yeah.
I mean, of course, the Knicks would have drafted these players, so it doesn't really matter. But
or they would have just ruined them.
Yeah, probably.
Remember when the Knicks drafted Aldridge with a top 5 pick and he was out of the league in 2 years?
But we can all agree D'Angelo Russell is a fine player. He does not look like a guy that you sell the house for.
Right. Pa writes, Sappin and guys, question. Do you guys think that if the Knicks got LeBron the year he went to the Lakers, then the Knicks would have won a chip last year? If he got a viable running mate, I feel they'd have beaten Kawhi's raps. Sorry for the question. Cheers. Never apologize for questions.
I love questions. With Knicks roster last season?
Yeah, I don't think so.
The 17-win roster, even if LeBron was healthy, he could have gotten them to the. I mean, he could have gotten to the playoffs, I think, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think he would have gotten into the playoffs, but I don't think he's beaten those Raptors.
I mean, if anything, like it's probably a better example to say like LeBron with this year's team, because this Knicks team is better than last year's Knicks team. How do you think LeBron would pair with this team? Like,
I mean, I think he gets them to the playoffs. I don't think the team is good enough to do much.
And Gibson has it knocked away by Covington.
I had that on pause for the
entire
matter. Show.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't
go to Sports, Yahoo Sports. They have a better. The box scores don't.
Jesus Christ.
Well, if you think about the team, so you have LeBron on your team. Suddenly, there's no point guard issue because LeBron plays point guard.
Right.
He gets angry if there's another point guard on the floor anyway. So so the Knicks are like, we have no one. Ntilikina, you can be point guard with LeBron out there because you don't need to actually play point guard. I think this team would be pretty competitive with LeBron. Like they're a solid 5 seed maybe in the playoffs. They have a shot in the playoffs also with LeBron. I think he's that big of a difference maker with this team. This team would look a lot better with like an amazing offensive player who could like run the show.
Yeah, I mean they're still not beating the Bucks or the Raptors.
Look at the last Cleveland team he got to the finals and beat the Raptors with, beat all those teams with, and it wasn't the Raptors with Kawhi, but he still beat all the teams in the East with a garbage.
I know, but when he was in the East, there wasn't a team like those Raptors or Bucks. Like he faced some weak ass teams.
That's fine, but he did get to the finals 4 straight years, and the last year he got with a garbage team. I'm just saying he could probably do a lot with this Knicks team.
Yeah.
So when LeBron signs here in 5 to 10 years, okay, Jay. Anything? What did we learn today, Jay? Before we end the show,
we learned that Knox and Frank and Robinson just need 3 to 4 more years to develop.
By the way, Mo Harkless is not seeking a buyout. Why is that?
Because
Then
nobody
why-
wants.
I guess maybe he thinks like he's going to get some playing time here, and maybe like that would be worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, he started today.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's a good way to show off your talents. And then you can get especially if you don't think you have gotten like a chance other places.
Yeah, he wasn't playing that much in LA. Maybe he thinks, hey, I played 20 minutes a game here, show everyone that I can score 2 points a game when given that much time. And
Oh, you know what? Hang on. Just so I saw on Posting and Toasting, someone put this in the comments section. I thought this was a pretty interesting. This is what they think the Knicks should do next season. Tell me what you think. Okay, number one, decline options on Portis, Payton, Ellington, and Gibson combined with the existing cap room would bring us around $72 million.
oh boy,
I'm
getting nervous already.
This is not crazy.
Okay.
Number two, sign Joe Harris. I'm guessing he would take an ideal around 3 years, $45 million. So Joe Harris, very good 3-point shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, sign Davis Bertans. Maybe 3 years, $60 million, or even 4 years, 80. Both players might have to overpay slightly since they aren't really we aren't really a destination right now. So you sign Bertans and Burton's. Is it Bertans or
Bertans?
Bertan and Harris. So you have two excellent 3-point shooters.
Yep. Okay.
Number four, sign Aaron Baines. I'm guessing it would take 2 years, $20 million. So you have a real center that you can pair with when Mitch is off the court.
Mm-hmm.
Draft number five, draft LaMelo. And according to this guy, he says, I've warmed up to him significantly with a draft with no sure things at all. I like the idea of grabbing a guy at a position of need who has at least one elite skill set, vision passing. So let's just say LaMelo or another top point guard in the draft.
I mean, I guess
and
his shooting isn't as big of a problem if you have Bertans and Harris.
Yeah, so you roll with starters of Ball or whoever the point guard is, Harris, RJ, Bertans, and Mitch. Harris and Bertans give you some spacing along with Mitch's rim running. Should help RJ and Ball a lot with their development. We would be fairly weak defensively and putting a lot on Mitch to cover up on our offense, but our offense should be fairly decent. Second unit, you run out there with Frank, Bullock, Knox, or Iggy if he develops, Randall, and Baines. And there you have a real center who can hold things down with Baines. You have Frank, who could look better against second units. Randall, who can bully Ball against second units.
I mean, it's a plan that sounds better than what the Knicks plan is right now.
I thought that sounded like I really like that idea. I thought that generally sounded like a pretty decent. This is from the Wizard 50 on posting it. He was commenting on Posting Toasting. I just took your comment because I thought it was really good. Yeah, that's something that sounds like a pretty reasonable plan.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, end the show, Jay.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. nyknickspodcast@gmail.com or NYKnicks Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, I don't know, Spotify.
Pinterest, I don't know, Spotify.
Why don't you leave a 5-star review on iTunes while you're waiting for the next episode?
Yes.
That'd be great. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say.